Doing?
Good. Good. Right?
Great. Oh, tell me what will make you great.
Living and breathing.
That's the basics of life, so that's not too exciting. So I do it every day. So Yolanda has some exciting things.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was that?
I don't know.
No more teasing. Okay, let's move on. Serious business now. We're gonna cover two chapters today. So you know, I mean, what last chapter we are in?
We're on the last chapter, or the one we're on right now.
Yeah, last chapter.
33 was the last chapter.
Okay. Can you do a little bit review for us?
Sure.
China, man. It's China. It's opium thing, I think. No? Don't
No, that
remember.
was a few chapters ago.
Oh, it's Napoleon again.
Napoleon Wars. Does anybody else have notes from last week?
Yeah?
Or the
You do give a review for us. 33. Oh, the end Napoleon's War. That's right. Go ahead.
You probably have notes.
Give
I
a
don't-
review.
Not in this notebook.
Give a review.
See, I don't know if I really need my notes.
You guys are bad students, man. Yeah?
Okay, so chapter 33 was more about Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
Find it really quick. Sorry. Here we go. Okay. And it was sort of, so it was Napoleon Wars where he started just taking over quite a bit of land. Europe was forced to salute to the French flag. He had so much land that he gave some to his brother.
His brother's name is
Joseph.
Joseph, yes.
And then he tried to take over Russia, and Alexander the First, which was Catherine's great-grandson, he sort of set up a trap a little bit for him.
Yeah.
To where the point where his men started freezing because it got so cold,
Yeah.
and most of them ended up dying. I
Yes.
have how much? 60,000?
600.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Only 1,000 escaped the whole army,
And then
right?
he finally admitted defeat after a while and spent the rest of his days in exile on an island. And he escaped and went to fight again, but then he got put on an even smaller island. And people would come around, tourists would come around to look at him, see him in his little garden. And then he ended up dying of stomach cancer, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And nobody knows. He thought it was because somebody food poisoned him, but it was because he ate a lot of land.
Oh. So he was not poisoned.
Who knows?
Possibility,
But that's the first exile. He was exiled twice.
yeah.
Then he come back.
died at the second one and ate the lamb stuff.
So
at
what about the
second.
war? You know anything about the war?
War.
Second time called the Waterloo. The War of Waterloo.
1812.
Yeah. Who lead the other army? What is his name?
James Madison.
No.
No.
James
No.
Madison is American.
Oh wait, sorry.
That's American too. It's not American.
Oh.
It's a British general. His name is Wellington.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't find it. Where is Wellington?
I thought
What's
I
his
wrote.
name?
I thought I wrote his name down. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, he's Wellington's man. Duke Wellington. Said a word close thing. So almost, yeah. Duke Wellington become a world famous figure in the European, especially in British history. Why? Because he defeated Napoleon, you know, the one almost undefeatable in a certain lies. So. He has been a dominant influence to their eyes. Obviously, they were a troublemaker for the European political for many long time, a long-standing time. Make sense to you? So when he finally get defeated, people celebrate the general. So his name is Wellington. Waterloo become like a phrase that, hey, somebody facing his final defeat, he's facing his Waterloo. So making sense to you? It's like Caesar's war called Rubicon, right? So you cross what? The name? Cross what? Have you remember that in the book?
Cross what?
Cross the river called Rubicon. That's I forgot the name. So Caesar crossed the river to take over the government in Rome. Basically decided to make the final decision, okay, to move forward something. So certain history or statement like that have a history background. Making sense to you guys? Yeah. So, hey Naomi, why don't you pray for us on stage? Yeah, move forward.
Yes, Lord, I thank you for this time, Lord, and I thank you for each one here. Lord, I pray that we would settle our hearts and minds, Lord, and Lord, ready ourselves to Lord, learn, Lord, or learn how to learn, and Lord, be a blessing to each other. Lord, I pray that you would bless Emmanuel's heart as he teaches us, Lord, that we would pay attention, Lord, and listen for your voice. Lord, I thank you, Lord, just for Emmanuel's heart to, Lord, teach us. And I pray that you would bless this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Let's look at the map. That's an interesting map. Let's look at all the nations in South America. So, can somebody read all the nations there for me? Then we find it.
On the map of the one
South
that we're about to
America.
read. Okay. France, Spain, Portugal, Haiti, I guess that's how you say that. Jamaica.
Haiti, right?
Haiti?
Haiti, yeah.
Haiti.
Yeah.
Jamaica. How do you say that? New
Grenada, yeah.
Venezuela.
Venezuela, yeah.
Peru.
Brazil.
No, how do you say that?
Brazil.
The one with Quito.
Huh? Quito. Oh, Quito. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Bolivia, Chile,
Bolivia, Chile,
Patagonia.
Paraguay. Yeah. There's a river called the Paraguay.
Oh, really?
And flew into Amazon River. Yeah. Becoming the main river, right? So, Argentina is a big nation.
Paraguay.
I don't know that's that one.
Uruguay. It's very, very difficult. I don't know how to pronounce it either.
We need Noah.
Patagonia. Those are the nations I have no idea. They disappeared modern map. Okay, so go from there. We're gonna have key line, right? So the name messed me up. So
You said it right.
It'll take a long time for me to figure out what it is. So. Apologies.
So actually, the name of this, I believe it's Simon Bolivar, but I looked it up and it's pronounced like really fancy. I don't.
Bolivar.
Yeah, I looked
That's
it
why it
up,
has that
but-
little weird thing.
Simone.
I looked it up because I couldn't spell it, but it's super fancy. So
Yeah.
That's why it has
I
a
don't
little
know
mark
the
on the
correct.
top of it.
Yeah, I don't know the correct way to say it, but
Okay.
Simon Bolivar. How would you?
Yeah, you could just say
Bolivar.
It's,
Yeah.
You don't have to do the
Yeah.
weird accent.
But you can speak English.
Okay. Freedom for South America. Let's image. Now that we can leave Napoleon's grave at St. Helena and travel back in time and space, the cool spring air grows suddenly warmer. The rocks of St. Helena fade away. Look down at your feet. You're standing on thick green grass. Hot summer pours down on you. A few feet away, a servant A servant. Oh,
Mhm,
sorry.
mhm.
A servant on his hands and knees clips each blade of grass to the same length with a pair of shears.
Shears. Huh?
Shears.
Mm.
Shears, okay.
What that mean? That's right.
The
Shears are
it's a
like scissors.
Scissors.
Fancy
Okay.
type
Okay.
scissors.
Okay.
You're standing at the tennis court of a royal place in
Royal Palace. Palace.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
a royal palace in Madrid.
I don't know. Who
Madrid,
knows?
Spain. Madrid, Spain.
Have you been Madrid?
Yes, I have.
It's poor city.
Cool.
It's cool city.
Yes.
Oh.
Or, oh.
I'm joking. Spain's rich. You remember they got all the silver and the gold. Huh? That's why I stay here because they mine the silver from silver here. Remember that? You didn't read it, the former chapters? I still remember a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
understand what or
They got the silver. Then they
Oh,
imported slaves to
Oh.
mine the silver. Remember
Yeah.
that? So
We just
the-
watched that in the Mask of Zedru.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Is that right? What do you watched?
The Mask of Zedru. Have you seen that movie? Zero. It's Zero. I don't know. I said Zedru.
Zorro.
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 Yeah, Mask of Zorro.
Zorro is
Yes,
gold,
yeah.
not silver.
Oh yeah, I
It's
just
in
like.
California. He messed it up.
Yeah, I did mess it up.
Well, that's the guy's name. California.
Yeah.
I messed
Zorro.
everything up.
No, no. Go ahead.
Two young men.
I like
with
that movie.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Rackets are baiting a tiny cork ball. Bristling. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Bristling with goose feathers. Back and forth. The Queen of Spain sits beside the court beneath a gold and crimson canopy.
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 Mm. Canopy is like
Fanned
something
by her maid.
like covering like umbrella, right? Canopy, you know. So
It's kind of like a throne outside.
it's a three ornaments,
like
but you
this
have
right
something cover over
Kinda
it.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's a
remember?
balcony.
Okay.
So that it's like a shield, provide a shielded area. Yeah.
It's an arch.
The year is 1799. Over France. Napoleon has just become first consul.
Mm.
But here in Spain, the royal family has no idea they will soon be driven from power.
Mm.
The Queen has invited a visiting guest from the Spanish colonies of South America to play tennis with her son. Prince Ferdinand.
Ferdinand.
Ferdinand, yeah.
There's a song called Ferdinand. No, it's ABBA song. You know ABBA? No. It's a beautiful song. I like it. Yeah. Good. Why you laugh at it? She tried to make fun of me now. So.
What? No.
I think Esther grew up to be very funny, huh? Huh? She's
Define
really-
funny.
Her mind is funny.
Yeah.
Her mind
She
is
takes
funny.
into- yeah.
See, me don't talk, but her mind is funny. That's good. Go ahead.
Prince Ferdinand isn't playing very hard. He hasn't even taken off his fancy cocked hat. He expects that his guest, 16-year-old Simon Bolivar,
Yes, something like
I
that.
can't see now.
Yeah, you see loud.
Simon Bolivar.
Three times. You know,
Bolivar?
Simon Bolivar.
Bolivar.
So, yeah,
Will let him.
Mhm.
So 16-year-old Simon Bolivar will let him win. But young Bolivar is doing his best to knock the ball past the prince's racket.
Mm.
He swings the racket high above his head and drives towards the Prince Ferdinand's head. The prince, startled, drops his racket and ducks. The ball knocks off his hat. The queen lazily claps her hands, but Ferdinand stands up, his face red with fury. "How dare you?" he hisses at Bolivar. "Apologize at once." "Why?" Bolivar answered. "It was a fair shot.
I can
You
see
have
Elijah.
no right to beat me at tennis."
Ah,
Ferdinand snaps. You Creole. I looked up that
know
word too.
I-
I looked up that word. It's also fancy.
Creole. Creole.
Cruel.
L is not L in Spanish, and right? So you know.
Cruel.
What is how to say that? Croya. Croya.
Creole.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know. I looked it up, but I
It's,
forgot.
it's Spanish word, I guess. What I mean, it's bad. A bad word. Very bad word. Okay. Okay.
He grabs his hat and stalks away. Wait. Yeah. The game is over. Bolivar stands on the tennis court alone. His family owns a huge estate. Is that how you say it? Estate?
Mm-hmm. Estate, yeah.
In South America.
Mm-hmm.
In the Spanish colony of
Venezuela.
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 Say,
Oh, okay.
no, don't ask me. Venezuela. That's a terrible one. Who's
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Venezuela. Where's a V? There's no V. There's a second V. Venezuela. You see?
Venezuela.
Yeah. Okay.
He has been sent from Spain to see the land of his ancestors. Sorry, I thought I spelled. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't. He is well educated, good at fighting and riding, strong and brave. But over here in Spain, he will never be able to become an army general or a Spanish minister of the state. He is Creole. I forgot how to say it. Is that how you say it? Creole?
Creole.
Creole.
Creole. Yeah.
Creole?
Yeah. Creole.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm. You guys know Spanish very well, I guess. Huh?
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Creole.
Creole.
Creole. Okay.
Creole.
Stay corrected.
Can you say what it stands for? Like what it means?
Okay.
What does it mean?
Explain next. There we go. Spaniard born in the colony.
A standard born in the colonies.
Spaniard.
Spaniard?
Mm-hmm.
Spaniard born in the colonies.
Okay.
And those jobs are given only to peninsulars.
Peninsulares.
Peninsulares.
Peninsulares. I have no idea.
I
don't
can't
speak
pronounce that
English.
word.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
I cannot pronounce
Okay.
that word.
Peninsula. We are in Olympic Peninsula.
Oh, that's how you say it? That's
Yeah, peninsula. You see? Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Then RES. That's it.
Peninsulars?
Then and RES. The three letters in the end. Peninsula. Yeah.
Oh,
That's it. Actually, it's basically native land. Native land.
so that's how you say it? Just peninsula?
Mm-hmm. Peninsulares is people.
Peninsulares.
Peninsula is land.
Oh.
It's native land. So
Oh.
my speculation.
Native of Spain itself.
Mm-hmm.
The Creoles of Bolivar's own colony. I already forgot how to say it. The Venezuela, thank you. Venezuela had been unhappy with Spain for many years. Not long after tennis, the game Madrid, the Creole name
Madrid, right? Madrid.
Named-
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Madrid. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The Creole name Francisco de Miranda
Miranda. Mm-hmm.
tried to convince the other Creoles to join him in driving the Spanish governor and soldiers out of Venezuela. But the rebellion failed. Miranda had to flee to London. By then, Simon Bolivar had spent several years traveling through Europe, reading books of
Enlightenment.
enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment, okay.
Mm.
Philosophers like John Locke.
Locke. John Locke. John Locke is hugely influencing American founding as well. So yeah, was the key characters in the Enlightenment movement, the period of Enlightenment. Yeah. Go ahead.
And learning about the revolutions in France and the United States. Bolivar knew that other colonies had thrown off the power of countries that founded them. He made up his mind that Venezuela would join them. I swear before God of my fathers, he vowed, I shall not rest until I have broken chains that oppress us. And when he returned home to Venezuela, he soon made his plans clear. At a party held by a Spanish governor, he was asked to fit his glass to make a toast. Other guests had already toasted to the King of Spain, wishing him a long life and health. But Bolivar stood up, lifted his glass for a different kind of toast. I lift my glass to the honor of the King of Spain, he said, but I lift it higher for the freedom of South America.
Let's stop there. Have the next person read it. You are doing very good. You must review it, and so that's double praise to you. Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We will continue have you to read for us so that you got practices, stuff like that, you know. So we all need to practice public speaking. Not like somebody always shying away. Don't read anything. Yeah,
What?
go ahead. He never read, am I?
No,
But he
he
read
doesn't.
very good. So.
I'm sure he does.
I read.
Down to us in history.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you meant in general.
No, not in general. History.
loud. You're probably gonna
Facing
be like
everybody.
that in the way you are publicly.
Your dad is not good.
What?
Your dad is not good.
My dad's the most
My dad's the
Oh,
best,
really?
one of the best
public
readers
speakers I've
ever.
ever known in my life. He's the public speaker I've ever known.
He must have not read to. He used to read to us as kids, and he was great at reading.
How wonderful
I
to
like
have a
when he
children
reads.
that admire the dad. Yes.
I
agree with you.
I've always admired his public speaking and reading.
Agree with you. Me too.
I want to be like that, but I don't know if I can.
Oh, I think you
I wish
will.
I
I think you will be better. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Every time I hear somebody, I want to be better than him. Not competitive, just want to learn from the best. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's why I want to learn from the best. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Darn good, some say. That's our English. Go ahead.
Soon Venezuela's chance came. Napoleon marched into Spain, took the throne away from Prince Ferdinand and his family, and declared that his brother Joseph would now rule. A little group of army officers called a junta.
Wanta.
Wanta?
Wanta.
Did you just use the J?
Gathered in Seville to fight against the French invaders. Portuguese and British soldiers came to Spain. Battles raged across Spain's villages and fields. The Creoles of South America believed that the Junta was too busy with Napoleon to pay much attention to Venezuela. Encouraged by Bolivar, the Creoles picked up weapons, drove the Spanish governor out of Venezuela's capital city of Caracas, and declared Venezuela.
Caracas. Caracas is dead body.
Yikes.
Bolivar became a colonial
Colonial.
Colonial.
in the new Patriot Army.
Before
I can't
American
read it now.
become independent, the period called the colonial era. A nice colonial era. Yeah, go ahead.
Francisco de
Miranda.
came back from London and became the
Patriot.
Patriot
Patriots.
Army's commander in chief. The South American War for Independence had begun. Far south, the colony of Argentina had already declared its own independence. Not long afterward, Paraguay, just north of Argentina, announced that it too was free. But the Spanish weren't willing to give up their empire just yet. A regiment of Spanish soldiers left the fight against Napoleon and sailed west across the Atlantic. They arrived at Venezuela's most important port, ready to recapture the colony for Spain. Bolivar was in charge of defending the port, but one of his own patriot officers decided that the rebellion had been a mistake and convinced other patriot soldiers to join the Spanish invaders, rather than to fight with Bolivar.
This is for middle school boys, girls, man. Are you guys still in middle school right now?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I've read this book like 5 times.
How about you read it?
Seriously? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just saying I've read this book a lot. Like,
We should change the book.
I like this book.
You like this book?
Yeah,
You
I
have
read
a
it
lot
in
of
the
story.
school. No, I can't
Okay.
read it. I think that's interesting.
Okay,
Very
interesting. Okay.
Set the book down and put your finger in the
Yeah,
words.
I would like to read some academic book, you know, expand, elevate your mind. Just, I'm teasing, guys.
Oh, okay.
My point is, Esther, you might not read a little bit like a story, rather academic book. It's a story book. So, go ahead.
Bolivar had to retreat. He sent a message to Miranda, begging him to come help.
Mhm.
But Miranda had already decided that the war for independence was doomed. He was making plans to board a ship and flee back to London.
Flee back to London.
Bolivar and the other patriots were furious.
Mm.
They stormed into Miranda's house, took him prisoner, and locked him in his own fortress.
Mhm.
When the Spanish arrived, they found the leader of the rebellion already in jail.
Mm.
They sent Miranda to Spain, where he spent the rest of his life in a Spanish dungeon.
Mm.
Bolivar was forced to flee from Venezuela so that he too wouldn't end up in a Spanish jail.
Mm.
But he didn't go far away. He traveled to the neighboring colony of New
Granada.
Granada, which had also declared its independence, and pled with the Creoles there to help Venezuela.
Mm.
The New Granadans agreed. Bolivar became a
Colonel.
Colonial?
Colonel. It's literally called
It's
Colonel.
Colonel?
Yeah, it's Colonel.
you looking at the
Captain,
page?
Colonel. Yeah, Captain, Colonel. What?
Captain
became
Crunch?
a
What do you say?
colonel.
I was looking at
In
the
there
wrong word,
are-
sorry.
Colonel. It's a Colonel. Oh, yeah, it is Colonel, right? So.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
Colonel?
Yeah, it's Colonel.
Where?
See, well, yeah, it's a word confusion. That's why English is sometimes so difficult.
Yeah.
Have all kinds of languages, all kinds of spelling. Never really settle with any convention. Not really. Like, whatever. So go ahead. Yeah.
He had fewer than 100 soldiers. But he led these soldiers into attacks on towns held by the Spanish along the border of Venezuela. His little army managed to drive some of the Spanish out. More soldiers came to join him. His army grew. After 2 years of war, Bolivar had fought his way all the way back to the capital city of Caracas.
Caracas.
He marched into Caracas on August 6, 1813, and declared that Venezuela was free for the second time. The people of Venezuela welcomed him. The Liberator, they cheered. From now on, Simon Bolivar would be known as El Liberator.
El Liberador. Hey, Benji,
Uh-huh.
how to pronounce that?
Wait, which
Louder.
Oh.
No as
And wait, where?
you're supposed to follow the text.
Sorry.
That's
I
fine.
didn't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um,
Bolivar was known as
where?
Here, I have it right here.
El
El Liberador.
Librador. Seriously? No. Libra. Come on, do it again. El
Libertador. Libertador. That's how you say it.
Librador. Oh man, so cool. Okay.
Okay, I have to get some water.
I'm gonna not learning Spanish.
I have to get some water.
Okay. I'm gonna read on for you. But the war for independence wasn't over. Spanish soldiers still had control of many of Venezuela's cities, and the Spanish generals had a trick to play on Bolivar. El Libertador, El
Liberador.
Librador, and his followers claimed that the rebellion would throw off the rule of Spanish aristocrats, just like the French Revolution, which had given the common men and the women of France power. But all the leaders of Venezuelan rebellion were crows. They owned huge estates and ranches. Bolivar himself had inherited farms, copper mines, an enormous mansion. Out in the open plains of southern Venezuela, much poorer men made a living herding cattle. Those cowboys, called llaneros, hated the rich crows. The great John Spain in the fight against the Bolivar. Bolivar could not manage to drive off the combined army Spanish soldiers and rough-riding llaneros. In less than a year, this army was marched into Caracas. Go ahead, Esther.
Once more claiming it for Spain,
Mm-hmm.
Bolivar had to flee to the nearby island of Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
which was owned by Great Britain. Even worse, Spain had finally managed to drive Napoleon out. Ferdinand, the prince who had lost that tennis game so long ago, was now King Ferdinand
Seventh.
of Spain.
Yeah.
He sent 11,000 soldiers to South America. The rebellious colonies were soon back under Spanish control. Napoleon was dead, and Europe was free. How do you say that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Somebody.
sorry. Wait. Libertador.
Librador. That's where we're confused.
What
I know.
is
It doesn't sound.
El
It
Librador.
doesn't sound good when
I like you.
you don't know how to say
The
it
Liberator.
correctly.
The Liberator. Let's translate
Liberator.
in
El
Chinese.
Liberator.
In English. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Liberator.
Was in exile, and the Spanish colonies of South America had lost their brand new independence.
Ah, that's terrible, huh? So he's gone, huh? Mm. Okay, we're gonna finish chapter, so Benji, continue.
Okay. Bolivar was not ready to give.
Freedom, but not unity.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
That's good.
Bolivar was not ready to give up the fight for Venezuela. He was convinced that he could lead his country to freedom, and after that, he wanted to lead the rest of South America to independence.
Mm.
He wrote out his plans for South America and published them in a magazine in Jamaica. The plans, called the Letter from Jamaica, soon made their way down to South America. Creoles in every colony read Bolivar's letter. He wanted the South American colonies to become states, each with its own elected Congress and president. And then those states could join together like the United States of America into a huge, strong country a new world power. But Bolivar believed that the United States system was too weak. The president, he thought, didn't give enough power to run his country. His country would be more like Great Britain. It would have constitution, but it would also have a king who ruled for life over all the United South American states. Bolivar wanted to be that king, but he had no army, and Venezuela was in the hands of Ferdinand. What is that?
The seven.
The Seventh.
Numerals, please.
His old enemy, Bolivar, left Jamaica and traveled to Haiti instead. The Emperor of Haiti was glad to help another colony rebel against its rulers. He gave Bolivar a handful of ships and soldiers.
Remember we read some Haiti history? They
I
are
remember.
rebel, and right? They break off
Right.
the Spanish rule, right? So yeah, go ahead.
In return for this tiny army, Bolivar promised that he would free all of the Africans who were still kept as slaves in Venezuela. Together with a few patriots who had joined him in exile, Bolivar prepared to take back his homeland. 3 years of war followed. Bolivar's little army fought and fought. Bolivar tried to make alliances with the leaders of rebel groups in other colonies, so that all of South America could stand together against the Spanish. One of these other leaders, José de San Martín, finally helped Bolivar drive the Spanish out. San Martín had been born in the colony of Argentina.
You guys
Sorry.
read the book called 100 Years Solitude.
My dad magic read it. I
Oh,
don't know.
it's very good.
It sounds familiar though.
Yeah,
What
he's
is that about? Is it about this?
He's talking about this kind of thing. It's in the Imagine the West. So yeah.
He had joined the army of Spain and has sworn allegiance to the Junta, is that how you say it? Junta of Seville, the little group of officers fighting against Napoleon and his brother Joseph. But even though he fought bravely, San Martin couldn't rise all the way through the ranks of the army to become a commander.
He called one. He was a cruel, right? So, go ahead.
Okay. Because he was a cruel, San Martin left Spain and went back home to join the rebellion. He knew that Spain would never be driven out of South America unless the rebels could conquer Lima. Lima was the most important city in Peru, the colony that stretched along the coast of South America. Yeah, there was more Spanish soldiers in Lima than in any other South American city. If Spanish power over Lima could be broken, the rebellion might succeed. The Spanish in Lima weren't worried about invasion. All of the roads to Lima were well guarded. Any rebel army...
Oh, man. That is happened. Getting your birthday is party is
still
ruined.
Okay. Would be destroyed long before it got to the city walls. San Martin knew this too, so he decided to sail into Lima instead. He would put his rebel army on ships, land them on the shore near the city, and drive the Spanish out to get to the ocean. San Martin had to lead all of his men from the inside of South America to the coast, across the Andes Mountains.
Andes Mountains. Let's look at that. Is there any map of Andes Mountains? Oh, here we go. Let's take a look at this map. I'll show you. The Andes Mountains is a mean mountain range. Oh wow, they don't show you very well, huh? Okay. Do you see this? They don't show you very well. But if you look at that, this is the mountain range.
Oh wow, that's really nice.
Covers the corner, the borderline between Peru and Argentina. Okay,
Wow.
literally cut through the mountain ranges. So
That's crazy.
extended all through here, under the surface in a sense. And then cut through here, okay? That's where we are. See that? So our little island here, right? So, so this mountain range we call the Walkie Mountain. Go through all meandering here. And this is called the Pacific, I think. Pacific called the
Pacific Ocean.
plate. Okay, it's called a plate. So clashes with the I don't know exactly the American plate, I guess, and form the mountain range. Okay, so that's why we have a lot of earthquakes around that regions.
The Andes
You
Mountains.
learn something, all right? So go ahead.
The Andes Mountains were one of the biggest mountain ranges on the whole earth. The mountains soared high up into the sky and stretched all down the coast without a gap. Snow lay on their peaks all year long, and icy winds howled down their sides. No one had ever taken an army across the Andes.
That's a huge
Yeah,
treat. Yeah.
but San Martin marched his men right over them. It took him a month to get his whole army across the slippery, treacherous slopes. When the commanders of the other armies heard what San Martin had done, they took their hands in amazement. No one but Napoleon himself could do such a thing,
Yeah.
they exclaimed. San Martin loaded his men onto leaky cargo ships, his new navy. He sailed up the coast, unloaded his soldiers, and marched to Lima. After months of siege, the Spanish soldiers in Lima finally gave up. They retreated back to the mountains.
They never give up. They tease you. That's what.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
terrible.
need the SIG.
So what you have to do is fighting back. Never give up any of the teasem.
Yeah.
Fight poison.
You need to lead a SIG on me?
Okay.
What's the word again?
SIG.
Siege. Siege.
Siege. Yes, it's good.
SIG.
I think I like Sieg.
Okay. We need to cheer ourselves up, or else you just going to sleep.
San Martin declared that Peru was free. Now Bolivar didn't need to worry about attacks from the south. He led his army into New Granada. Between
Granada. Granada.
I think Granada means grenade.
No, it means grand. It's like a big, great nations.
Oh.
Yeah, in Granada. Yeah.
Colonies of Peru and Venezuela, and drove the Spanish out. Then he met with other rebel leaders to draw up a constitution for a new South American Union. The Union, La Republica,
No, L.A. or La?
sorry.
You speak Spanish, but you don't.
Sorry.
L.A. is Los Angeles, okay? That's not L.A. Sorry.
No, it's
Both
okay.
of the letters would be
Exactly.
uppercase.
Yeah.
La Nina. El Niño. That's what it was from. La Republica.
La República de Colombia. What have three states in it? New Granada, Venezuela, and Quito, the small colony between Peru and New Granada.
You know Spanish and other things. So.
I'm a little rusty.
It's all Spanish, man. Ecuador. Mm-hmm.
And now called Ecuador.
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 Ecuador. Quito still belonged to Spain, but José de San Martin was willing to help out. He lent some of his soldiers to Bolivar for the fight. Soon Quito too was free. Quentin. By 1822, most of the South America had shaken off the armies of Spain. Bolivar ruled over La República de Colombia. San Martin was the protector of Peru. But Bolivar's dream of a united South America would never come true. The new South America countries refused to join together under one president. Many of the rebel leaders who had fought hard for the independence thought that Bolivar was too anxious to grab for power. Sometimes Bolivar acted like another Napoleon, building himself an empire. Bolivar even seized a port that belonged to Peru and took it for his own.
Okay, move on with Naomi.
Elijah.
Sure.
Oh! Oh, surprise.
Where are we?
Or, there. Oh, wait.
José de Martín objected. He was having trouble convincing the people of Peru to follow him. Many Peruvians were angry that San Martin had given important jobs to the... How do you pronounce that? Corrales from Argentina. Others complained that San Martin hadn't driven all the Spanish soldiers out of Peru. Some were still hiding up in the mountains. San Martin wanted to prove that he was strong. He was a strong, good leader.
Yeah, Elijah is a good reader.
Yeah, he is.
He is really good, alright?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wake me up.
If he could get the port from Bolivar, everyone could see that he was just as powerful as El Libertador.
Oh no,
Libertador.
San Martin journeyed up to La República de Colombia no, it's D, right? De Colombia to argue with Bolivar about his port. No one knows what Bolivar said to his old ally because the two men met in secret. But San Martin went back to Peru without his port. When his officials asked him, wow, that officials word messed me up. When his officials asked him what happened, he said only, the liberator is not the man to be imagined. You guys are messing me up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think
Quiet.
She's messing you up, so I don't even know.
Liberator is not the man we imagined him to be. A month later, San Martin resigned. He told his closest friends that the Spanish countries were not ready to be free. There was too much fighting going on inside each country. The Paroles insisted on ruling over the Indians, the descendants of the Native American tribes who have lived in South America before the conquistadors came. Conquistadors
Remember
came.
that? The conquistadors. You heard that name before, right? The conquerors of the Indian tribes in the south. Conquistadors.
The Indians quarreled about the African descendants of slaves. The Indians quarreled with the African descendants of slaves. South Americans who were pure-blooded Spanish or Indians often fought with South Americans who were only part Indian, called mestizos.
Mestizos.
Or part African, called pardos.
Pardos. Okay, you have to imagine how they call each other.
The landholders and army officers were too busy quarreling with each other about grabbing for power to unite together under leaders who could make South America great. I have tried for 24 years to promote liberty, San Martin complained, and have produced only calamities.
You know the word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Liberty. It is like giving a 2-year-old child a box of razors to play with while seeing what will happen. Soon,
So what are gonna happen?
he's gonna cut his little fingers
Oh.
off. Soon Bolivar was forced to give up his power. Many people believed that many people loved Bolivar for helping to lead the fight for independence. The The upper part of Peru was renamed Bolivia in his honor. But others hated him for taking so much power for himself. His supporters and his enemies began to fight together. Once, his enemies even broke into his house to kill him. Bolivar had to escape by jumping out a window. Finally, Bolivar had to leave South America. He had been feeling ill and had no longer had the energy to keep on working for the United South America. He hoped that once he was gone, the countries of South America would stop quarreling with each other. But not long after he left, Bolivar grew even sicker. He died of tuberculosis, a disease of the lungs. His country was free of Spanish rule, but still cut up in little pieces.
Oh yeah, the
Divided.
razor, huh? Okay, that's very good.
Wait,
one.
I think your version's different than mine.
No, it's pretty.
It's funny.
No review. You gotta remember everything. Okay, we'll wrap up today. Thank you guys. So,
Thank you.
yes.